Uh, what is up, everyone? Uh, oh my god, I ain't gonna lie, I am tired. I am still tired, and I actually have to go to work tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know. I ain't gotta go to work for like a few hours, but I figured once again, weekly live. Let's go. It's Monday. You know what time it is. You know what day it is. You know what it is. Nobody's gonna show up, so I guess I just take this time to talk about how my week is going. My week is my week is pretty stable. It's pretty normal. Going to work, um, going to work, sleeping, and heading back home. Also, my job is actually like my ideal job now. Like now that I look at it, because like I've always wanted to work over. I always wanted to kind of work overnight. I also always wanted to work. I also always wanted to kind of like do a warehouse type thing. Hello, Miss Southern Bell 33. How are you doing today? I am totally awaiting your content, by the way. Oh, you're over here. I'm totally awaiting your content, by the way. uh, but yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see I'm ready to see what your content is for sure. Work is actually going by pretty well. I was actually like rambling on about it earlier because like this is kind of like my ideal job because I've always wanted to do warehouse work. I've always wanted to work overnight, so I'm kind of like this is sort of like something I've always wanted to do anyway. So I'm enjoying it. It's just very tedious because the job involves taking stuff out the truck and putting it in the store, and that's like a lot of small things. Like I was working the electrical area the other day, and it was just like a whole bunch of small stuff. It was like it's just a whole like it wasn't like a lot of it wasn't big items or heavy items. It was just a bunch of small ones, and they all had like specific areas. So I'm just eh, 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 eh. It was just also like I don't like light bulbs. I can easily say now I'm not a fan of light bulbs because if when they fall, that's it, game over. You know. One of the light bulbs that I was dealing with fell, and you know, I don't know. I guess I'm a perfectionist, so I did downtime. I got plenty actually. I got plenty of downtime. But like I said, it's just like but it's like a 10-hour shift, so we have plenty of downtime in between, but it's spread out a lot more. But yeah, it's like I said, I like my new job. I definitely do. I definitely enjoy what I do. I find myself just kind of like it's definitely a good place for me to just sort of like it's definitely a good place for me to just kind of like do what I enjoy doing because I love task oriented work. Without having to deal with customers and stuff like that. So there's no customers there, so it's just us just taking stuff off the truck, putting it in the store, and that's our day. Uh, Thank you very much, RC and basketball. I swear that's I always get like I love it when I get like new people popping up and stuff like that. That's dope. But yeah, it does feel good it does feel like I said, it just feels good to work again. But also it feels good to work again knowing that the job that I have is a job that I don't mind doing. Because it's like it's definitely one of those jobs I can see myself actually like wanting to move up in and getting better and want to get better in and stuff like that. It's very tedious though because I'm just not used to the store, so I'm not used to where things are. But that's a it's other than that, it's actually it's pretty okay. Ugh, but yeah, but yeah, it's actually been a crazy week. It's been a rough week because uh when a person hates their job, it sometimes shows and days can be a drag. Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Like it's always I always say like, if you like, if you have a job that you like, it's not a job, it's your passion. And people will want, like, if you do something that you want to do, you're gonna find yourself doing it with just a little bit more zeal, you know. But yeah, downtime. Like I said, I got plenty of downtime, but it's nothing serious though. Also, also a friend of mine passed away just a few days ago actually, and that's kind of bumming me out because it's like she's like she was like she was like a wrestling insider, and she was kind of like the person who hangs out backstage and stuff like that and talks to the wrestlers and stuff. And so it just kind of is. I think the thing that will always sort of stress me out is that like she passed away and she was a few years younger than me, and it will always stress me out when somebody passes away that's younger than me because I don't like outliving people. I don't like outliving people who you know I don't know. It just part of it just really kind of bums me out. So I just hope like the wrestling world actually lost somebody that was very, very, very important. So it's because it's not just it wasn't just that she was my homie, she was everybody's homie. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely like it's definitely one of those things that really kind of bums me out, and it's like I just hope like I love to see the tributes from the wrestlers and like TNA and stuff like that, like giving her flowers and things like that. But it's like you never truly want to hear about somebody, you never want to hear about somebody passing away when it's especially when it's somebody and somebody's younger than you. It's very frustrating. But I always say like when somebody passes away, the first thing that goes through my mind is where they are, they ain't got to worry about like suffering through sickness anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's one way I look at it. But yeah, it definitely like it's gonna get to me a little bit, but like I always like I said I view death as a peace instead of death as like tragedy. It's just like the ultimate peace. Like you ain't got to worry about anything anymore. And that's what makes it a little bit more positive. Not positive, but that sort of softens the blow a little bit. Uh, Also, shout out to the two people that are in here still. This is genuinely surprising to me. I'm trying to think about what else. Okay, wow. Well, shout out to the one person that's still up in here right now. What else happened throughout my week? What else happened throughout my week? Like I said, working. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like I'm a pretty boring guy. So I mostly like just dedicated my days to just sort of trying to stay in, just so I can save up some money because I don't get like my first real check from work for like another week and a half. So I got like a lot of time. So like I've been sort of just staying indoors. But while I've been staying indoors, I've been trying to work out lately, and I do this thing called a farmer's carry with these weights that I got, and I have these weights, and I know like every night or so, I try to like do a jog around like my the area that I just happen to live at in the complex, and now I'm telling myself I'm going to challenge myself and do a farmer's carry. And the thing about the farmer's carry is like like I said, it's a full body workout. I could totally do it, except it just makes my shoulder it just runs my shoulders like straight to heck. Like I always find my shoulder and my arms are like not as good as they should be, and I am ashamed of that. So I am definitely going to be working out my shoulders and my arms a lot more because like the goal is to just be able to not the goal is to be able to walk farmers carry my whole route. That's one thing we gotta that's one thing we all got in common. We gotta leave this place. Exactly. I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing that, by the way. I apologize. um but yeah, though, that's another thing I've been doing in my spare time. I really don't have like interesting days like that. I don't have interesting weeks. Whereas Nikki Bushi, my friend who passed away recently, she had like plenty of exciting things to go on. Like she got a chance to like like I said, she hung out like backstage at wrestling events and actually like used to schmooze with the wrestlers and stuff like that. I wish I could do that, but yeah. But yeah, though But I'm also like really, uh, I also should be getting ready for work, but like I don't have to be for work for like another couple of hours. Uh, but how you guys doing out there? Like I'll stay like y'all doing okay? How's y'all week been going? Well, how's y'all past few days been going? How did you find me, RC and basketball? Like did I just pop up on your front page? Cause I like you're a new name up in here. So like do we you know I found out I was already subscribed and that's odd to me. Yeah, that's I have no clue what it is, man. Like I think some people just immediately subscribed after my 600 video and just didn't even bother to like just didn't be even like what people would do is that they would subscribe after I do something popular and then unsubscribe like after I make anything after that. So I find that to just be a little bit weird, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Like peeps just like after I made my 600 video, I do know that people like subscribe probably impulsively after that. It's possible that I found you on the vertical stream side. I have no clue what vertical stream is. Is the vertical stream like the shorts and stuff? Because I don't. Hold on. Shorts are a part of that world too. Okay, like I said, because I don't. When you're seeing content creators, when you're scrolling up and down on YouTube. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I do make a lot. I do make a lot of shorts. I do make a lot of. I try my best to make like at least a few shorts a day, just because they're easy for me to make, and I always figure, like, I was actually getting a little bit of a thing on TikTok before my TikTok got hacked. So I'm like, well, if I can't put it on TikTok no more, then I'm gonna put it on YouTube. So that's what that led to. So but yeah, man, like glad to have you aboard if you're still subscribed. I'm not sure. Like I don't know if you are subscribed or not. Like for, YouTube used to do a thing where they would tell you if somebody was subscribed to you or not, and it doesn't do that anymore. So I find that to just be a little bonkers. But hey, glad you're here. Glad you stuck around. How's your day going so far, man? Pretty good. What is up, Megs? How's it going? I figured you. I ain't gonna lie. I thought you was gonna be busy today, man. But don't worry. You're kind of like you're not missing anything. It's just me. It's just me talking. I did kind of talk about my job earlier, but like what's there to talk about? It's like it's work. Day is not going too bad. Often wrestling with depression, but I will not let it win. I can't allow it to win. I get it. I totally get it, man. As a depressed guy myself, right there with you. I like I'm gonna actually do a short dedicated to that because I made a short on my Instagram dedicated to how I deal with my depression, and I'm gonna put that on YouTube probably like later on. I don't know yet. I'm tired, but yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, man. I actually work tonight. I work in a matter of hours actually. That's why I kind of but I don't live that far from work, so I can literally just. It takes me like a few minutes to get to work, which is awesome. This is the closest I've ever lived to my job. But yeah, but like I said, this is kind of like my ideal job. First, it's physically close enough to me that I could probably like walk to if I wanted to, but I don't want to because it's a long walk. But also, like I said, it's task oriented. I work overnight, so I get a little extra money. It's warehouse. It's kind of like a warehouse job, but like all I'm doing is just taking stuff out the truck and just putting it on the shelf. And like it's guaranteed you're doing good on YouTube so far. I hope so, honestly. Especially because like I don't like because I've seen what people go viral on YouTube for, and it kind of bums me out a little bit. Hello, Miss Christy, how you doing today? Like there was this I've been watching these videos on YouTube dedicated to it's great to hear the new job is working out. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very thankful for this. I'm very thankful for this job for sure. But yeah, so I ain't gonna lie though, like I say, I would love for this to be my job though. I would love for just being able to sit in front of sit in front of the computer and just talk to you guys. But like the goal is to get as many subscribers as I can so I can make that into a thing. The only problem is that like like I said, I was watching some videos earlier of like some guys who did go viral on YouTube and go viral. People only love drama, mess, and petty stuff on YouTube. If your content is articulate or positive, it's like you have to work even harder. Yeah, that feels like the case actually. Yeah, like somebody called me a lol cow, and I actually like now know what a lol cow is. And a lol cow is basically somebody who gets famous for getting like crapped on by people. So, like for example, there was this guy. I don't know his name, but like he was apparently like he first he looked weird, and people used to make fun of him because of his looks. But then like down the line, he started like actually getting a little bit more messed up, and he started like actually giving people a reason to be mean to him. And it was like he had a thing for the younger ladies. And you find out that he's like mentally unstable, so he would like actively get angry at people. You're not a lol cow. You're not even popular enough to be a lol cow. That's what I'm saying. This dude called me a lol cow because he was mad at me because I didn't like villains. That was what it was. He was like he got so upset with me. He got like really 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 upset with me because I said I don't trust people who like more than three fictional villains because they're mean. And then he just popped up and was like, I like more than three fictional villains. I'm not mean. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you're a loser. You're a little cow. I don't like you. Rah, rah, you suck. And it's like just spitting the venom, just spitting the venom. And I'm just like, what about this is supposed to make me not? What is about this is supposed to like make me like think otherwise about my statement, bro? But yeah, like I'm expecting to become a lol cow down the line because like because first of all, I'm black and I'm online, and racists can't stand that. I'm sorry because you didn't like who or what an ad came up when you said it. Okay, I said that I don't trust people who like more than three fictional villains. I made a short about that. I made a short about how I don't trust people who like more than three fictional villains because they're usually like pretty mean, and they're usually like, they're bullies and stuff like that. And this dude got really, really, really angry about it. And he like just like I said, like he just went on a tangent about how much I suck as a human being and how terrible I am and how I'm a loser and how I'm a lol cow and all this other stuff. And it was like, and I'm like, what part of this is supposed to make me think that people who like, what part of this is supposed to change my mind about what I initially thought about, people who does that. It was just wild, man. Yeah, he was mad. He was very upset about it. But yeah, it was like I said, he was wild. It was wild, dude. Hold on. I'm sorry, but that's really funny to me. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, like I don't like. I thought it was kind of. I thought it was kind of silly too, honestly. Both the premise and someone's reaction to it. Yeah, like my whole thing is that like a lot of people who. My whole thing is that like I've encountered people who like more than three fictional villains, and they always they're just some of the meanest people. They're like just they're not like they're just really mean for no reason, and they get a kick out of like they get a kick out of like being mean to people. It's like they're bullies some of the time. True, what do you? What's up, True? True, just without even trying, bro. You're like one of the funniest dudes out here, bro. But not like, but what I was saying was that like that dude, man, he was mad. He was mad. Not much, dog. Not much, dog. Shoot, I'm doing a okay over here, buddy. Or at least I'm trying to just trying to make it. You know how that go. But yeah, like, but yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like I'm not proud of I'm not proud of that little spat that I had with that guy. Like I'm not proud of it, but it was still just like one of those things. I just felt like that just felt like it was worth mentioning. Like I want to say I did it initially as a joke, and then this dude just took it a little too seriously and just got really ticked about it. I think which villains they're fans of. No, because my whole thing is that like I even point out like I even like point out like I'm not referring to villains who are reformed like Vegeta or Prince Zuko or Panda King or anything like that. I was talking about like villains that are just like mindlessly evil for no reason. Hello, a pup's life. How's it going? Uh, but like, yeah, it's like my whole thing is that's what I'm saying. Is like my problem is there's way too many. There's a type of villain now. You know what I mean? That we just don't acknowledge. That we just don't acknowledge as problematic because people just don't think that every villain. People don't think that there are villains who fall into that category. And rather than just like acknowledge that there is a category of villains that like they just say, oh well, these villains aren't toxic, so like no villains are, it's like these villains aren't toxic, so no villains are toxic. And it's like that's not how this works, man. That's not like why would you say that? But that was kind of like my whole thing is that like because I always go down to like what types of villains that these people be liking because it's almost always the same type. It's always like these obnoxiously evil villains who are just mean to everybody for no reason and stuff like that. And it's like, why do you even like these folks? And it's like because they look cool. Dang. Oh, I think they do feel that way. Actually, you're giving people too much credit again. These people are fans because of that type of stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's like what I'm saying is that like and that's my whole thing is that like I say if you like these types of people, I don't want to really mess with you like that. I don't really want to like because like I say, like I will. The evil is the feature, not the bug. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Is that that's the reason why I say I don't trust most people who I don't trust most people who like villains like kind of like in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Protect your peace. Exactly. Also, like, well, by the way, nice to meet you, Pup's Life. Really, thank you for actually commenting my videos. I'm very appreciative of that. Like, not a lot of people like to do that. So, you know, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I thank you. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the reason why I don't like for example, Joker fans, right? Like there's people out there who like Griffith. You know what I'm saying? There's people who genuinely like Griffith because they're like, oh, he is like, yeah, I have good content. Thank you. I think you have good content too. I've actually checked out some of your stuff. Everybody loves a good dog video. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm still growing, and I hope that you I hope that your channel does very well. Like I say, who doesn't like dogs? But yeah, like I don't really my whole thing is, for example, like I just don't. There's certain villains that I can acknowledge. There's certain villains in fiction that I can acknowledge are like, they make sense in the story. If not for them, the story probably wouldn't exist. But there's some villains out there is like there's some villains in the story is like I don't there's no reason to like this person. I mean, sure, their existence is valid in the story, and without them, this wouldn't be a story. But it's like some of these people are just jerks, you know. Like for example, there's people out there who like villain. There's people out there who like antagonistic characters from Law and Order SVU. It's like why? Shoot, but yeah, that's me ranting. I shouldn't really be ranting like that. I'm just glad that they don't watch like most of these telenovelas that I'm watching right now because man, there's so many. There's like okay, so I'm watching this series. It's called Victorinos, and there's this guy who is there's this one dude. Her name is I forget her. I think her name is Lena Maria, and Lena Maria like she's in love with her husband. I guess she married kind of young. She's in love with her husband, and her husband is just the worst dude. And like at some point, he in a drunken rage uh, gives her a child, and then and then leaves, and only to come back because he's jealous of the guy that she ends up raising the kid with. It's like this dude was just he's just terrible like all around. And I can assure you that there's gonna be some people who's gonna watch Victorinos and be like who's gonna watch Victorinos and be like, wow, he's such a good villain. It's crap like that I don't like. Also, their kid's gonna turn out messed up. Oh, my legs are killing me. Hold on. Okay, y'all still out there, or am I just yelling at myself? Because I could just make a video of me ranting about this stuff. Ow, ow, gosh. Oh, darn it. I'm just locking in at the gym. Oh, I respect that, dude. Hey, like don't like get your pump on. Get your pump on, dog. Go ahead. Shoot, Truan's about to be the buffest kid in school if you still go to school. I know you're 19. I have a thing where if a television show or book series has too many unlikable or unsavory characters, I can't deal with it and just stop. There's a trope for that. There's a trope called "too bleak, stop caring." That literally like that is like kind of word for word what you're saying. And yeah, I follow tvtropes.org. Yes, is my favorite site. But like, yeah, exactly. Like my whole thing is that like I can't really get into there's a lot of soap operas that I couldn't really get into because of that. And I wanted to get into soap operas because I wanted to be able to know how to write a story from like multiple perspectives. From like I wanted to write a story with multiple protagonists in it. And I wanted to know if there was like a specific way to do it. So I would like try to watch like a lot of shows with like multiple protagonists and stuff. Yeah, bro, same, exact same. I was not a fan of that. Like once Negan popped up, like because here's I read the comic for The Walking Dead, so I knew that Negan was going to pop up and do what he did, but I did not know that they was going to just let him just live after that. Like he continued to live after that. Like at no point did anybody just get mad and go, "This is for Glenn." Wham! It was none of that. I hope everyone loved him, and I can't exactly. Yo, big same. Oh my god, it's like we're the same. It's like same situation, bro. I was not a fan of like once Negan had because like I said, I read the comic, and that's what made me like stop reading the comic was the fact that he popped up. Because when he popped up, bro, it was like and people started liking him for that. And the first thing that went through my mind is why? What was likable about this dude? Like I still hate it when people like cosplay as him at conventions, bro. That still makes me mad. Shoot, because it was like, and not only that, because like if you read him in the comics, bro, he's like the most immature person. Man, bro, you like, yeah, we're definitely in the same, we're definitely in the same camp for that one for sure. I don't even trust people who love that guy. See, you now you kind of see what I'm saying. You kind of you get what I'm saying a little bit. I feel like you get what I'm saying. I hope you're not like just. I hope you're not just like doing that as a jab at me. But oh my god, exactly right. My whole thing is that like you can like there can be likable villains. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that there can be villains that are in fact charismatic, kind of charming and likable. But it's like you don't have to ignore what they did to like them. That's my whole thing. Like you don't have to ignore what they did to like them. It's like if you have to ignore if you have to ignore what they did to like them, then I don't trust. Even Joker has the excuse that he's crazy. Negan isn't crazy. He's just vile and evil. Yeah, and that's the reason why I always get mad at I also hate it when people say crap like after they did Ben so dirty to just have bro show up and do that to everyone makes dude completely unlikable. I'm with y'all. I have no clue who Ben. I have no clue who Ben is because I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I stopped watching. Once again, I stopped watching like after he showed up because I read the comic. But like that's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Like my whole thing is that like if you like, I feel like if you like villains, your reason why has to like your reason why you like villains matters a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's cool to like a villain because they look good, but it's like if you ignore that they're just a piece of garbage, like I can't trust you. It's like you didn't care about the story at all. You didn't care about the story. You just like how a cat looked and was like, yeah, they look cool, so I like them. Like, no, dog, that's not how nah, dog. Like like Kingpin is a cool villain, but he's still an a-hole. I stopped watching the 100 for the same reason. After a while, the last only genuinely good character was killed off and was done after that. What's the 100? What's the 100? Is that like what is like? But that's what I'm saying. Like everybody can't be a jerk, bro. Like I feel like at some point writers ultimately went into this thing. I feel like writers they ultimately went into this thing where they just like started like saying, let's just let's make characters that are unlikable. Let's make characters that are just mean. Let's make characters that are, like these like edgy. It's like this whole thing about being edgy and like, no, nobody is nice. We live in a world where nobody is nice and nobody wants to be good and nobody wants to help anybody. We're all just jerks now. And it's like, that's not everybody though, man. Any luck on a job search? Oh God. I recognize this person's name. I made videos dedicated to that. You feel free to watch them at any time. But yeah, that's what I'm saying though, is that like there is a lot that goes into like I don't like I feel like villains need to be unlikable. Villains need to be unlikable because if you make them likable, you kind of lose the plot a little bit. Because then it's like it's less about the story and more about just people just liking the edgy crap because it's cool because he's evil. I don't like I'm not trying to applaud a jerk for being a jerk. And I feel like nobody should. Like maybe like I said, I'm willing to like I'm a terrible person for it. Like Darth Vader. No, Darth Vader destroyed a whole planet. But also Darth Vader is more of a victim than also Darth Vader is like more of a victim than like, than a villain. He's not really a villain. He just did the whim of the Emperor. And I say this as somebody who didn't even watch Star Wars. I didn't watch any of Star Wars. But like from what I understand, like he was just doing the bidding of the Emperor. And the Emperor was kind of the one doing it, like making him do everything. So he wasn't really a villain. He was just the face of evil at the time. Like if anything, I really hate the fact that people like Darth Vader more than they hate the Emperor. Because you rarely ever hear anybody even talk about the Emperor, but instead there's just say Darth Vader is so cool because of his mask and his force choke, and he's awesome, man. Like he's so cool. It's like going, bro, he blew up a planet. It's like, yeah, but he looks cool. The black cape, dude. It's the black cape and the mask. What the heck, bro? It's so awesome. It's like, oh God, he blew up a planet, man. Like he did blow up Alderaan, right? Like once again, I never saw Star Wars. The only reason why I even know anything about Star Wars is because people just will never shut up about it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, but also the 100 is a television series about 100 exiled kids returning to Earth from a space station in Earth's orbit after the radiation levels had came down enough to explore the post-nuclear war surface. Honestly, that is a good premise. That is a great premise for a TV show. I love that. That is a smart, creative idea. Like that is peak post-apocalyptic stuff right there. That is nice. I like that. That's a great story idea. There should be more. There should be a whole genre dedicated to stuff like that. That is dope. But yeah, also like why that's what I don't like the idea of unlikable characters. I don't like the idea of unlikable characters being liked because then when an unlikable character is liked, it ruins the story. Because now you're not upset that you're not upset that the unlikable character is unlikable. You like them because they're unlikable. And it's like, huh? Like one of my friends, we watch Super Sentai. We watch some of the retro Super Sentai, and from like he thinks Trenza. I forget which series it's from, but he thinks Trenza is cool. And I'm just like, why do you think Trenza is cool, bro? He killed his wife, dog. I mean, he didn't kill his wife, but he killed his love interest because he's just that evil. Mwahaha. Like what the like I can't stand this. I can't stand writing like today's writing. No, well, not today's writing, but just writing in general. And I say this as somebody who writes, or I say this as somebody who is writing my own story. Your life could have turned out so much differently if you didn't quit boot camp. I didn't quit boot camp. How do you quit boot camp? You don't just walk out of it. Remember me? I do not. Um. Uh. Am I supposed to? What's going on here? Is this one of those things where I'm getting trolled because? Am I getting trolled because I made the mistake of being black online again? How do you quit boot camp? You don't just walk away from that. You don't just be like, "Oh no, I don't want to be here anymore," and just leave, man. What? How did? What? The station had very strict rules because the resources are limited and they needed to live up there for decades. Basically, every penalty for breaking rules is station is death by floating. Oh, okay. So what? Did they just? So what? Do they just like if you mess up, you gotta if you mess up, they just put you out of the space station and you just float in space. I ain't gonna lie, that's a really cool idea. Like that is a really cool writing idea. I don't know why I love that so much. Like imagine just being able to say, "Yo, man, don't do that. You don't want to get floated." Talking about the 100 backstory. Yeah, I figured that. That is crazy though, man. Out the airlock. Yeah, I'm figure that. I figure that. But that is wild, dude. Like imagine that being your punishment. Like, dude, it's like, bro, if we keep acting up, they're gonna float you. But also, like that does sound like one of those Lord of the Flies type situations where everybody at some point ultimately becomes a bit of a jerk. Let me guess. Like the 100 just sounds like Lord of the Flies in space. Is it Lord of the Flies in space? I need to reread Lord of the Flies. Like the wording in that book was just that the wording in that book just really messed me up. Like that is like J Rob, you got like 5 seconds to get the hell up out of here before I make you. Also, strict reproduction laws, one child per family, and mandatory birth control implants for everyone. J Rob, once again, dude, you got like 4 seconds now. Bust out, get out. Strict reproduction laws, one child only per family, and mandatory birth control. The troublemakers are sent to Earth. That is crazy. Wow, what? Three. That's crazy though. Like, imagine your punishment is being sent back to Earth, or that's like being forced to float out in space. That's gotta suck. Two. I will not allow my enemies to be within my proximity. Don't like this guy. So, yeah, but like I said, that does sound like a regular Lord of Flies type situation. The 100 kids are used as guinea pigs to test the livability of the surface because the station is starting to fail as a live sustaining option. Sad part is, I feel like I would love this show if it probably like if it was like you said that like at some point like J Rob was back. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't like I said, I don't like him, so I'm just like, I'm not banning him, but it's just like I want him to kind of get the hint. Like, and also like he comes across as the type of dude who will just make another accountant pop up. So yeah, rather than do that, it's just easier for me to just be like biz outs. 23 skidoo, as the old timers would say. Shoot, but yeah, like I couldn't. Yeah, like some tells me that like, that does sound like a Lord of the Flies type situation, and it does sound like I say, I'm not. I'm cool. I understand that. I understand that, like in reality, sometimes some people, the worst people, are going to be the ones that's going to probably like seek out the most power and stuff like that. But that's not always the case. Like not every situation needs a jerk winning. You know, it's like we have jerks winning all the time in real life, and like nothing good comes from that the majority of the time. So I was like, is it like can we just have one situation where the jerk doesn't win, where a jerk doesn't succeed, or where a jerk is kind of like or rather where the jerk is like kind of like actually catching hell for being as bad as they are. And that's kind of like the thing I'm making in my story. Like, I said, when I'm writing my story, and my story is pretty simple. It's just a homeless dude beating the crap out of a racist. That's it. Like, that's obviously it starts off really well, but it's similar to The Walking Dead in that people being forced to live in a post-apoc world will always end up being really brutal. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's another thing too, is that like I think the worst lesson that fiction has ever taught us is that like the worst lesson that fiction has ever taught us is that like when it comes to times of crisis, like the worst people will be the ones to survive. It's like literally no matter what crisis we're in, our enemy will always be other people. You know what I'm saying? It's like no matter what the situation is, we always have to look out for other people. And it shouldn't be like that because in real life, real people are like helpful and kind and nice to each other in some fashion. It's like like people would rather like I do know that in some instances people would rather help each other than hurt each other, but for some crazy reason, people nowadays have just gotten more inclined to just wanting to harm each other instead, and that's sick because like we're not that barbaric. At least I don't think so. Like maybe I'm just too optimistic. Maybe I'm just too much of an idealistic person. But like I don't think that people are that barbaric. I don't think that people are that cruel. I don't think people are that mean. And it's kind of annoying that that's kind of the world that we're living in right now, where we have people who are we're just pushing this agenda that no, people are actually very mean and very barbaric and very savage and very cruel. It's like I don't think so. And like we do need more fictional stories where like communities actually kind of band together and just like are at least nice to each other at least. Where's the stories at where people are nice to each other? Where are them stories at? Shoot, like and people be like, no, that's little kid stuff, man. You can't be wanting that. You can't be wanting community. You can't be wanting people to actually do right by each other. That's not realistic. It's like, it is realistic. People are nice. There's nice people in the world. There's people who like each other. It don't make no sense. That's just such a weird lesson to teach too. It's like it's such a weird lesson to teach. Yeah, people are actually sociopaths that don't want to help each other. Like, come on. It's 2025. Why are we teaching that? Yeah. Well, I got 4 people up in here. Hands up if you're in the chat, man. I'm trying to see who these people. I'm trying to see who y'all are, because I'm gonna assume it's Miss Christie, Emperor Megas, 6 people. Oh, Jovi's here. Honestly, did not expect that. I thought you were. I thought you were. I figured you was at work, and I didn't know. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Weird. It said my message was too long, but it posted it and just didn't show it in the chat. YouTube really does hate me in particular. I don't know what it is, dude. Um, I'll say just like chop it up to a minimum. I don't know. Like it's not me, dude. But yeah, like I will say, but that's what I'm saying is like I kind of don't like this. I don't like this narrative that like fiction is like just saying 2 likes because I just oh wow 2 likes. Nah, dude, I got 4. I got 4 likes now. Although I'm genuinely surprised about that a little bit. Like, who are these people? But yeah, I don't like that agenda though. I don't like the agenda. I don't like the mean agenda. You know, it's like, yeah, actually during times of crisis, we all hate each other. We all mean to each other. We're all mistreating each other. We're gonna hurt each other more than we actually help anybody else. It's like one of the things I didn't like about The Walking Dead was that like they could have easily like kind of survived a little bit better if there was just people, those communities dedicated to people who were just jerks the whole time. Like the governor, like what was that dude's name? The governor, the mayor, or something like that. And it turns out that he was just some office worker before like the apocalypse happened, and then he just becomes the apocalypse guy. He just becomes what he is. It's like what, like because he just embraced his evil all of a sudden and just became the person that he was, and he became a success because of it. Like what the heck, man? That's not a lesson that we should be teaching. It only shows me 2 likes. That's strange. Yeah, it says 4 likes for me. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what it is, dude. Are you using your? I also think that it's probably because you're using your phone. I don't. I cannot tell you what the situation is, man. But it says that I got 4 likes. Well, it says I got 5 likes now. Shout out to that 5th like. Thank you for your support. But yeah, no, I don't really. But yeah, like I said, except for this, I wanted to like Walking Dead, man. I really did, because I think Walking Dead was like the first zombie series, and it has so much potential, man. Rob Kirkman is also a good writer. Was it Kirkman? Wait, who wrote what? Who wrote The Walking Dead? Was it Kirkman? Give me 1 sec, because I think it was Robert Kirkman, but I got to be sure. Who wrote Walking Dead? Frank Darabont. Okay, never mind. How you feel about people who like wrestling heels? Is that any different to you? I feel like the reason behind it would the reason behind it would actually have to be like, as far as wrestling heels are concerned, yeah, it has to be the reason, because some wrestling heels are just good wrestlers, and like I'm not gonna be mad at somebody who appreciates good wrestling. But like I do know that there's some people, like there's people out there who like the heel. There was people out there who liked heel Brock Lesnar just because he beat up Zach Gowen. And I was like, why would you like that? For those who don't know, Zach Gowen was a wrestler who had one leg, and but it was like but people was like, LOL, he beat up that one legged dude. That's funny. It's like, oh my god. It's like it always goes down to like why you like because there's some wrestlers, like I said, there's some heel wrestlers out there who just are that charismatic. I get it, but it's like once again, it goes back to why do you like them? You know, or there's always like wrestling fans who like, for example, it's not that they like the heels as much as they just don't like the faces. And I always think that I think that that's just the most annoying thing because like for example, like there's people out there who don't like Hulk Hogan, so they'll like everybody who Hulk Hogan wrestles against simply because they don't like Hulk Hogan. And I'm not saying you're supposed to like Hulk Hogan, but the fact is that if the only reason why you like the heel is because he wrestled against Hulk Hogan, then it's like, what are you doing here? That heel is not even a good heel. At least that's just my take. But it always goes back down to why, and also how many of these heels do you dislike? How many of these heels do you like? Because like right now, what's her name? Right now, Naomi, who has never really been heel like that before. She's heel, but also she's hot and like, but also she's hot and very talented. So it's like if you like Naomi because she's healed, then it's like, well, I mean, yeah, she's hot, she's talented, and she's good at wrestling. But yeah, it always just sort of goes down to like why her nose is nice. Yeah, like I said, Naomi is, and also she's really good at wrestling. Like Naomi is like really good at wrestling, and like they kind of need to turn her heel because like she's gonna make Jade Cargill look spectacular. Like she's gonna make Jade Cargill look like so much money. But yeah, like yeah, Naomi is a very beautiful lady. I forget which Uce she's married to, but like like I still remember when I still remember when Miz gave gave Naomi her business card, and literally in the middle of a show, you just see Uce like walk up on him and just punch him in the mouth and go, "Stay away from my wife." And they did that for a Total Diva segment. But yeah, like I always kind of go back to like if you like a wrestling heel, then like it just goes back to why. Very funny reference to my Randy Orton thing, by the way. Man, this game cheating, bro. Oh my god, dude. Game cheat, bro. I had everything going the way that I needed it to go, and it still gave me the wrong piece on purpose. Come on, man. But yeah, like I said, if you like there's a difference between like there's a difference to me between like just like appreciating something and villain something, but I still don't trust people who like more than like three fictional villains. Cause at that point is like you don't even because at that point it doesn't even sound like they care about the plot. They just like bad guy because bad guy there. And I don't trust that. But yeah. Like I said, like I'm working on my own. I'm writing my own story, and I don't expect it to like do that. I don't expect my story to do well because, like, first of all, my story is ultimately a homeless dude with superpowers beating the crap out of racists. That's part one. Another thing too is that like it doesn't really have like a lot of romance in it. It's just homeless dude beating the crap out of racist. But it's like obviously there is lore there. At some point, a meteor does like ultimately is like threatening the world, and it's up to the homeless guy to actually like do something about it and stuff like that. But it's just like at the end of it all, it's just homeless dude with superpowers beating the crap out of racist. And I know for a fact that my story will not do well because people want more than just homeless dude beating the crap out of racists with superpowers. But like the whole thing is that like every villain in my story is going to be like something that's absolutely like unforgivable. Like every villain in my story is going to be like, you know, they either going to do something, they're going to do something that's like unforgivably terrible, and they're going to have like reasonably, they're going to have like reasonably reasonable backstories and stuff like that. These are going to be, they're going to be painted as sympathetic figures. But the whole idea is that like I do that on purpose to just show some of these people, some people are just jerks. That story could work. You'd read that story? It's like but like my whole thing is that like my villains are actually going to be like terrible people. Like they're going to be like unforgivably awful people who do unforgivably awful things because they're unforgivably awful people. You know, this like I don't like the idea of a I don't like the idea of a villain like, oh no, they're not a villain. They actually they're the way they are because of actual specific reasons. Like no, no, some people are just jerks because they've always been jerks. Some people are just mean. It's like it's very possible that some folks are just mean, you know. And that's kind of like one of the things that I was going to do in my story because I actually have one villain in my story who is like he's a corrupt cop. He's also like he's a corrupt cop. He's also racist, and he also is like God, what was it? He's a corrupt cop. He's racist, and he has like an identity complex because he was a your success would depend on how you make the main character. Yeah, that my whole thing is that like my main character is actually just like he is like I say he's homeless, so he's always sort of like out and about. He's dirty as heck. He's dirty and he actually got killed before. Like in the early part of the story, my main character gets killed. Like he gets killed because somebody they try to they beat up his friend and he tried to go to the cops to like let the cops know, hey, my friend got beaten up. And you find out that the cops were like super racist and like they also orchestrated the beating because his friend was like part of this resistance group or something. And as time goes by, like, you know, like he goes over to the cops and the cops kill him because they were bored and he just happened to be there at the time. So, you know, he's really angry about what happened. And his anger is what kept him from like not staying dead. So when some kids decided to like, you know, um do a little voodoo trick, like do a little like voodoo based thing. And by the way, it won't be called voodoo, but it's gonna be like inspired by voodoo. But these kids they try to like do this little random voodoo thing on a dare and they accidentally bring him back from the dead, and in the process of bringing him back from the dead, you know, he remembers how he died. And like, you know, he's like I say, he's a regular dude. He's not a zombie, by the way. So but he kind of is, but he's not. But his whole power is that like he can't feel pain, he's super strong, and he can't die again. So you know, that was kind of like the whole thing. Is that like the whole premise is that like he's back, he's pissed, and he's looking for the cops that did this stuff to him, only to find out that the cops are like old guys now and stuff. Dipped out for a few minutes. I just had to talk to the cops about who were banging on our door. What? Huh? Somebody was banging on your door, dude. What's happening? I'm back. I did not know. Okay. Who do we know each other? Whom? Huh? That's okay. That's weird. Like, is this another case of me being trolled because I made a mistake of being black online again? but yeah, like my main character is just like, he's like I said, he is like it's a case of he's back, he's angry, and and like the whole story is it's supposed to be a story of revenge, but then you find out that like he came back during a time where like racism is like at an all-time high, and like there's like stuff. I saw your comic book video. Oh, okay. Thank you. But yeah, like that's like my whole story. Like, but also he's like a my main character. He's also just like a really. He starts off as just the friend of a. I'm not subbing that video. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry if I don't recognize your name. It's just I encounter people like all the time, and it's very different. I apologize for that. But yeah, like that's kind of like the whole story. It's like, well, obviously there's more to it than that. Like there's this coalition in my story that's being established because like racism's at an all-time high, and white supremacists keep going into this random city and just attacking people. And so here he is, this one dude, superpower, straight back from the dead, and he's just beating up racists and protecting the city from like racists who keeps going up in there and messing with people. And I have no clue what a superhero name is going to be, but I do know that I call him Dirt because I call him Dirt because you can't really crush dirt. And also there's a lot of ways that you could like say there's a lot of ways that you could like talk about dirt. But yeah, that's the whole story. It's just like, but in my story though, every bad guy is either racist or prejudiced or it's okay, no matters. No, no, got it. But yeah, in my story, it's like all the villains are either racist or prejudiced or like monsters in some fashion, and that's kind of like the whole thing is that like I'm purposely making my villains unlikable so that you understand why you shouldn't like them. But would y'all read that? I guess not. No, well, on a good foot, if my story was a bad idea, nobody would steal it. But on the upside of that, if my story is a good idea and somebody steals it, I also have like a means to prove that I wrote it first. Because I could just basically say, yeah, this is my video. Like, here's my video of me talking about the idea way before I actually collect books written by YouTubers. So I'd read it. I appreciate that. That'd be cool. Like, the whole idea though is that like I'm gonna be right back. Check your other videos. Oh, okay. Thank you. But yeah, like my whole thing is that like I'm purposely making my villains like unlikable people. And I really do feel like, we need to make villains unlikable because too many people are basically saying, no, actually the villains they're not bad people. They're actually like I really don't like this idea that is like villains aren't bad. It's like they should be. They should always be bad. What the hell? Like what you're saying makes no sense. That was Fast Hung Ha. I hope I'm saying that right because that's what it looks like to me. Man. Okay. I'm getting a weird vibe here, but you alrighty. By the way, I'm also watching that anime Cyberpunk right now because I'm interested in getting the game down the line. Like when I don't know why I'm so confident that I'm going to probably like have a reasonable size check from this job, but like I'm 100% due. I'm very hopeful that I'll like have enough money to get a. I gotta go. We are going to Costco. It's fine. I mean, hey, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. But like I said, I don't want to impede, I don't want to impede on anybody else's life like that. So, don't let me interrupt what you're doing. God, I wonder if Truman is still here. There's a reason why I call it Truman the main man, and it's because I imagine him looking like Lobo from DC Comics. And in my brain, I'm just thinking, yeah, he's clearly the main man for that. You like Home better, no Home Depot better, or Lowe's? I'm not really a like I don't own a home, so I can't say either. Like I feel like that's a homeowner question, and I do not own a home. Like this is my apartment that I rent. Also, like they're too similar. Like they feel way too similar. It's like comments getting eaten every time an ad pops up. Really? Okay, that's weird. Okay, I feel like there's a reason for that. There's gotta be a reason for that. Yeah, I don't know what that is, dude. I'm a little confused about that myself actually. But hey, like I said, you got me on this. You got the Discord, so you can always just whatever you feel like saying. You can always like say on there, and I'll respond to it when I got time. You know me, bro. I'm a talker. But yeah, like every story I got, like a matter of fact, I'm actually writing like multiple stories, and every story that I have, every antagonist in there is just an unlikable person. The whole idea is I don't like the idea of redeeming. I'm not gonna say redeeming them, but I don't like the idea that like villains can be fixed. You know what I mean? Because that's not a realistic concept. Some people are just mean, some people are just vicious, some people are just violent and stuff like that. And I kind of wish that that can also just be. I'm not saying that that should be like a thing that should be in like every story, but I do feel like that needs to be expanded more because we're getting people who starting to think that every villain is. I was saying it's interesting hearing your take on likable villains. A lot of red pill guys complain about how villains are humanized now and often have backstories and reasons for their evilness. Yeah, like um Oh God, Red Pill guys are thinking this. I actually don't. I actually don't. What I feel like I feel like you're responding to something I said a while back. Like I don't like I don't like the idea of I'm not gonna say they're human. I'm not gonna say humanized. I just do think that like it is a nice. I mean, it is a nice change of pace to kind of just show that there are in fact ways to fit. I don't think it's bad making villains relatable. Oh, okay. I like I said, I just don't like the idea of I don't like the idea of making villains likable because I feel like that kind of that ruins stuff a little bit. Like you can't be liking the bad guy because if you like the bad guy, then you're gonna agree with the bad guy. If you agree with the bad guy, the story just doesn't make any sense anymore. It's like going, like and I it's like going, it's just kind of obnoxious at that point. Like I'm not trying to, like I'm not trying to have a story where people like my bad guys because at some point I'm going to be like, you do realize that the bad guy is racist, right? You know, so you do realize that my bad guy is racist, right? Like even you can like a character that you don't agree with though. Yeah, I want to believe that, but there's people who can't do that. Like I encounter way too many people in fandom that just are incapable of doing that. It's like they have to like the most terrible people. Shoot, there's no character that I like that I absolutely disagree with. At least now that I think about it. But then again, like there's only like a few characters that I actually like. Now that I think about it, man, that's gonna mess with me. Who are some characters that I actually like? Ooh, it's gonna be a challenge. Great, now you got me up in here thinking. I think the why is always the most important part, not the who or what. That's my point. Is that like the challenge is always going to be in the why because like a lot of people like I really don't like the whole I like them because they're cool. It's like what makes them cool, bro? That's the reason why I don't trust people who like Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. Because regardless of whether or not Frieza was reformed, you liked them you liked Frieza before they got reformed. Now I need to know why did you like them then? Because it's like I ain't gonna lie. I think Chris Ayers was a great actor. Was a great voice actor. Rest in peace. But like that's not enough for me to like Frieza. Yeah, exactly. Frieza was very, very, very much. Frieza was very, very, very much a you know was very racist, and like I'm just like, why would you like this character? He's like, nah, I like Frieza because he can fight. I like Frieza because he can fight good. Like I don't trust you. I do not trust you at all, buddy. I mean, yeah, like I said, Frieza is in fact very racist, and I'm one of the few anime fans who honestly never really liked Dragon Ball Z. I used to always say that I didn't care for Dragon Ball because there were only over two emotions on display: pride and anger. There's like I actually sat back and I watched Dragon Ball Z, and there's a lot of parts of the story in there that people just genuinely don't care about because they care more about the fighting than anything else. And that used to always annoy me because it was like there's a lot of times where people were like I said, the fighting was just a result of a bigger thing. I like the original pre Z because it was cute. It was cute. Dragon Ball was adorable, but like I think the thing that really people really tend to forget that like there was a lot more that was happening in Dragon Ball Z that because you only think about it's like if you really want to like be complicated, like, overthink it a little bit, then there's a lot of stuff that was going on in Dragon Ball Z that we just never like you we were talking they was talking about colonialism and give me 1 second, y'all. I got a phone call here. Hello? Yes. Yes it is. Okay. I would like to continue it. I would like to continue it. I just have been facing some really tough times lately, so I haven't been able to pay as much as I would like. But yeah, I would like to continue. Both. Just my car, but that's it. No, I mean I have my car currently. It's just I recently I lost my job recently, and I'm just not getting another one, and I'm getting back on track. So it's taking me a little while. Understood. Specific code. Got it. Seven three four four six six.